Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excalibur Data Systems Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson, and I'm joined by Mr. Dr. Michael Durrant from Oomnitza. Mike, it's always good to get together and chat about what really is a kind of new area of IT. You and I have done a previous discussion on what is Oomnitza and where does it fit, and it doesn't fit squarely. It's a square peg that doesn't fit in any of the round holes that have been built so far. So you guys have kind of created your own space, which we call enterprise technology management, uh, kind of a hybrid of multiple things that let organizations better manage their overall technology infrastructure and do things like prepare for audits, understand our cloud infrastructure, help us maintain a healthy CMDB. There's automation capabilities in the system, all kinds of stuff that we can do with the Oomnitza platform. But today we wanted to talk a little bit about how does Oomnitza help me with audits? Audits are the bane of everyone's existence, right? They're necessary. We all get it. We all don't like them because they're never any fun. Um, and so often what I see with customers as they're preparing for an audit, being somebody who's performed audits, help customers kind of perform their mock preparation audits for the big auditors to come in, whether that be their usually a big accounting firm that's going to do an overall audit of what IT is doing, or it could be something that's a fiduciary audit, or it could be a regulatory audit. A lot of our customers that are in the energy space are audited by third-party auditors for compliance to standards. You got all these different things that are going on, and we're all running around trying to make sure all of our bases are covered, we've got all our I's dotted, all of our T's crossed. It's not easy, and you're trying to do really baseline stuff that we have things documented correctly and change management. That could be a lift, and then you get into other audit space, and people are lost. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys have done, because I know this is a core feature and function and capability where Oomnitza, from an enterprise technology stack perspective, is able to help a customer better prepare for and be better able to perform in audits. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, hi, Mike. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be on a talk track with you and to discuss these things. As in, you and I go way back, and we've had some fun engaging on a lot of these topics. And you said something quite interesting in describing audits. You said while we're preparing for audits, and you talked about all these different types of audits. And when you think of the from an audit perspective, I would say in my career, I've been part of SOX audits. I've been part of teams that have helped with SOC 2 Type 2 audits. I've been part of companies that went through those types of processes. And I saw, where things were broken down. You didn't have certain data types. There was a reactionary type approach to that issue. And, hey, an audit is coming at the end of the month. Everybody's scrambling to get everything together. With the Oomnitza platform, we look at that as more of a proactive approach. So because we are an integration platform that allows you to easily tie into everything. For example, your identity management systems, who's using specific areas and why. What is the status of a device in terms of, does it meet all of the requirements in terms of, well, does it have the antivirus on there? Is it protected? Was it decommissioned correctly? These are all moving parts that IT is responsible for triangulating, bringing together when it comes to audits. And then they have to repeat this every month. What are we doing to typically help where that is concerned? we're able to identify pretty quickly and provide a holistic view across all of your technology systems. So with that, we are then able to automate any processes, changes, and record them in from a history perspective. Because when I go back to my SOX auditing days, when the auditors came in, if they didn't see a process in place, if they didn't see some sort of repeatable, scalable automation, then they will pick maybe one or two devices and have you track them down. Give me the full history on that. And where is that device? Who used it? When was that decommissioned? So it's a really good topic. It has many moving parts, and I believe Oomnitza is definitely making this a lot easier in terms of what I've seen the product is capable of doing, and mirroring that to my experience in the things I had to do to make this happen.
Well, yeah, and the other side of audits, Mike, is you've also defined a process.
Right.
And the other thing that they're looking for is they're picking a couple of sample items and say, was the process followed consistently, on a randomized basis? What you've written down, especially when you start talking about, SOX audit, SOX, SOC type 2, which is now ISO 20001.
Yep.
I don't know. The numbers all start to run together in my head. But like a SOX audit, which, public companies are, and even some private companies may have compelled themselves to follow. So often where customers get stuck is they say, well, we have to do this. In most of the documentation for these audit types, it says, here's the basics of what you need to do. And then how you do them is based on how you document you're going to follow your process. What the auditors are looking for, I can tell you as an auditor, what I'm looking for, do you meet the standard? And then did you follow the process you have documented?
Exactly.
All too often I get into these audits and they've made the process more complicated than required, right? It doesn't have to be as complex as it is. And sometimes it's just grown over time as they've added and bolted on things. But then being able to demonstrate easily, being able to find the demonstrable data points of did you follow your processes is usually where that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where everything starts to come apart. Because all of a sudden you pull up a change request, there's no approvals, there's no nothing. Somebody just went out and changed something, and that's not what the process says you're going to do, right? And I think customers forget in audits that it's not the auditor's not looking so much at they're looking at did you meet the minimum standard, but also did you follow the process you have documented. So two organizations, I think about this a lot in the energy industry. They're subject to certain regulatory compliance.
Yep.
Now, how you interpret that gets a little bit different. Like two companies don't do it exactly the same way, but are they meeting what is required? And that's the hard part is how do we look at and even understand? And the big thing, and this is, I know, we've kind of hit the highlights of what Oomnitza helps us do. And we talked about understanding our cloud infrastructure. That's become, especially with going through COVID and a lot of the hybrid movement into the cloud of so many things where we've lost sight of what's out there. We don't even you and I were talking about when you first started at Oomnitza, and we were looking at the tool, and we were looking at we're a couple technology nerds, and we're going, oh, this is so cool. Plug it into, you plug it into Amazon, and it tells you everything that you have out there. And you've told story after story, and I've heard it from our clients as well. They made this rapid movement, and you need an architect, a Nobel Prize winning economist, and 7 other PhDs to decipher one bill from one of these cloud companies. If they have no idea what they have out there, that could bite them in an audit, but could also bite them from a security perspective as well. just at a very, very base level. And that's one of the things that Oomnitza helps us visualize and understand is what are we doing. So yeah, tell me more, because this is the stuff, this is a pain that I think so many people are feeling right now.
Oh, absolutely. And you get me excited with that conversation too, because every part of what you're talking about there is obviously the modern world we live in today. Technology has moved to the cloud. There's no longer a castle and a gate pass to remove your desktop. None of that is in existence. People are working from anywhere. You have these hybrid scenarios. You have data everywhere. You have software running everywhere. And IT is just expected to expand into that area. And it's not that you're not intelligent, I'm not intelligent, and all of us who have walked this particular path can't do it. We can. The reality is, that's not a scalable, repeatable process. We burn ourselves out, we drop the ball, and this is where Oomnitza comes in terms of let's say automation technology, is we're able to be that connective tissue that ties everything together. You have Amazon, they're companies that are using Amazon, AWS, GCP, Azure. When the auditors come in, how do you tell the story on that? And then you have all of these SaaS applications that require SOX 2, that has PII information on it. How do you bring that together with your legacy systems and continue expand into those areas when the solutions that you're using is not allowing you to do that? Mike, maybe I can give you an example, a little peek into what the Oomnitza offers in terms of helping organizations be proactive in this particular perspective. If I may, I'll love to share my screen
Yeah,
and
let's
show
do
you.
it. Let's do it. Let's show everybody what's under the covers.
All right, perfect. Well, first, are you seeing my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me just move this out. So let's take a look at this dashboard really quick. This is the Oomnitza Cloud platform that I'm presenting an audit and compliance dashboard with demonstration data across multiple systems. So if we start at the top, obviously it's role based. When you log in, you'll be presented this data according to who you are and how it's configured to get that. But what you're looking at here is, again, because we are able to integrate to multiple systems, I'm providing a dashboard for what we call audit readiness compliance. If you look at this dashboard, it's exposing some things around, SOC 2 requirements and specific applications. It's also exposing the fact that maybe there's some users that has not, signed off on the InfoSec compliance requirements. It's also showing, critical business systems out of warranties. You're seeing things like AWS systems that are not within, doesn't have storage, doesn't have encrypted. The storage is not encrypted. You see some examples of maybe CrowdStrike showing you different areas of statuses. What this is doing is exposing based on integration to multiple things. Now, you would say when you see something like this, you're like, okay, well, that's great. I can probably do that with building a dashboard. And some of these solutions we're worked with before. But where we are different is, while this is going on, as you mentioned earlier, we are preparing for an audit. Wouldn't you like to be able to be notified, not just from a dashboard, as to, well, why are these things happening? They're going outside my requirements for these specific audits. And if you take something like this, for instance, SaaS missing, SOC 2 requirements. The way this works, Mike, in our Oomnitza system is, with workflows, I'm able to create the ability for me to be notified immediately. So here's an example of a workflow that monitors these applications around, these SOC 2 requirements. An application within the Oomnitza system has on them, if I expand this a little bit, has on them the necessary information that tells you, does it have PII? Is it SOC 2? It's SOC 2 available? Have we received it? When did we receive it? And this allows me now to basically take my workflow engine and continuously monitor that process So I'm not finding out about it while I'm getting ready for my audit. I can simply update these records. I can notify, I can create tickets, whether it's a security incident to say, hey, these audits, these software titles are out of band. I can send notifications to maybe a GRC channel. And this is something that is continuously running in so that on my dashboards, I can see, I can have that quick and easy view into well, what might be out of band, and know that the Oomnitza system is taking actions against this. Tell me what if you have any questions, Mike, in terms of what I'm showing.
I think one of the things that's important to note is this is, Oomnitza as a platform is aggregating
Yes.
data from all sorts of various systems. So like you said, in a point solution like CrowdStrike, we could have a dashboard, but it's only going to tell us things from CrowdStrike's perspective,
Yep.
where we can pull data from CrowdStrike and from our from various other systems.
Yep.
CrowdStrike and our cloud systems and internal monitoring systems and whatever we want to plug in. You guys have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of integrations to all sorts of different systems out there. Pull this together, aggregate it, and build a more holistic view. And we're talking about audits right now. In future episodes, we're going to be talking about all kinds of other things that
Yep.
Oomnitza as an enterprise technology management platform is going to be able to do for us. But this is taking data. Oomnitza is not going out and discovering all of this. It's pulling the information together. And based on the rules and automations that you've set, helping us understand all of the information from all of this stuff that's all over the place. And that's one of the greatest challenges in preparing for an audit, right? You're trying to pull data from all kinds of different places and then analyze it almost siloed and then try to figure out, well, okay, from a CMDB perspective, our servers, meet these things, and then you move on to the next thing, and you move on to the next thing. And as you noted, SaaS solutions and on-premise solutions and stuff that's sitting in, we start looking at how things have changed for us just in the last few years. Applications that might have been on-premise were put into our private cloud. Well, that comes with it certain other challenges because we don't now control the infrastructure that's in the cloud. We control it to a degree, but then we're also relying on the cloud provider, be it AWS, GCP, Azure, what have you. There are many of them out there. Those are just but three of them, right?
Yeah.
And there are literally hundreds. And many organizations use multiple of these. They don't just use one. And so all of a sudden you're trying to, how do we pull this all together and give ourselves one view to understand, and we're talking about audit specifically here, audit readiness across the entire enterprise, not one piece of it. It's a broader view.
I mean, Mike, you bring up so many points of areas of excellence, key business processes that are constantly going on that has to be audited internally and externally for compliance requirements, for security readiness, and with users all over the globe and working in different environments. Think of business processes like hire to separation and all of the moving parts. So take an engineer like yourself, for example. If you move from one company to the other, I'm sure there are maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different elements that you've already been involved with. Cloud elements, SaaS titles, on-premise integrations. How do you tackle that with let's say you're connected to an endpoint management system? How do you tackle all of that and let alone have visibility into what you are doing from a point solution that tells you, okay, Mike had this particular device and that's it. there is the need to bring all of those data elements together for those key business processes. It allows you to see any gaps that you have. It allows you to take actions against those gaps, and it allows you to be proactive in managing those gaps so that you're not failing any audits, you're not falling behind your requirements in terms of playing catch up. And that's what this platform has given our customers the ability to do, is to be proactive in managing their IT ecosystem. So it's been fun working with it so far and seeing the successes across the different customers. So I'm really excited to continue a lot more of these topics. I think one of the next ones we might be going into is more of the cloud management area, which has always been a challenge for some of those legacy systems today. So really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Well, Mike, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for giving us some insight into what Oomnitza can do. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, and really looking at it from an audit perspective. And as you said, we're going to have future episodes where we'll talk about many of the other things that, as an enterprise technology solution, Oomnitza can help an organization manage in a broader fashion. Excalibur Data at ExcaliburData.com is our website. You can go out and learn a little bit more about Oomnitza. Would love to hear from you. Reach out to us. We can get you together with Mr. Durrant and the team at Oomnitza and talk a little bit about what Oomnitza can bring to your organization. Mike, thanks for joining me today.
Michael, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. And we'll see you all again soon on another episode of the Excalibur Data Systems Roundtable Tech Talk. Take care, everyone.